GrokTALK.
Welcome back to GrokTALK, brought to you by the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers and GraniteGrok.com. Reminder, next week we will be broadcasting from the CNHT Family Picnic out in Hillsborough, the town of...
July 4th weekend.
July 4th weekend. So July 5th we will be there, and we're going to try to do the show at the regular time, but then it'll just kind of keep going because the event will start, and we'll be there recording and doing interviews and doing what we do. And you should go to cnht.org and get some tickets, or you can show up and pay at the door if you want. I think it's $10.
It's the noisiest picnic on the planet.
It's an indoor picnic, and it's very noisy, but they're burgers for your money. You get a buffet of food and lots of conversation. There'll be lots of politicians there because it's an election year.
You will not be hungry.
You will not be hungry.
And it is a libertarian tax fighters reunion. Everybody re-meets their friends. The conversations are loud.
Your tummy and your ears will be full.
Will be full.
That's correct.
And the politicians will take the podium, hopefully not disgrace themselves, and will tell you why they're running. And the keynote speaker, the doctor, will be in. Dr. Betsy McCoy, a constitutional scholar, will be the keynote speaker at this event. So there's lots of reasons to attend, not the least of which is supporting CNHT.
And I want to remind you that in the third or fourth segment, we're going to be giving away 2 gold member VIP passes to the Race to Congress event tonight with Marilinda Garcia at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That starts at 7 o'clock. This is a $200 value, but we'll give you get your name on the list, and you can go in, and live music, free food, and you can take a trip around the racetrack in an official Speedway pace car.
Yeah, and in case you missed her call in when our live stream wasn't quite live.
Oh, it was.
Okay, it was live. It's just we weren't watching it. It wasn't advertised on Granite Grok.
No, we were just having some issues. Marilyn was on the program early. We came in, and she just joined our fiasco of morning issues. And anyway, let's move on, because we have Kevin here with us.
I just wanted to say she was recently endorsed by the Club for Growth, and that's usually a real good sign. And so, if you're into motorsports and you're into conservatism, you know where to be.
Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, you guys really look good as well as sounding good.
Well, thank you very much.
You need glasses.
You do. Maybe.
Yeah.
As that saying goes, face for radio and voices for blogging.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Kevin Everard's here. He's running against Peggy Gilmore in District
12.
State, New Hampshire Senate District 12.
Right.
Because we need new senators.
Absolutely.
and Peggy Gilmore's from my hometown of Hollis, and she's a popular lady. She's a very pleasant person, but she's a Democrat, and she's very much a hard left Democrat, and we simply need to replace her for the good of the state.
Hey, one of the things that's a lot of buzz in Hollis right now is the pipeline for the gas pipeline.
That's correct.
And property rights.
Sure, and that's a tough one, because. We do need infrastructure. The gas pipeline is going to help supply energy to some power producers. And at some point, if you can't persuade the people to buy, is that an eminent domain issue or is it not? It's not strictly a highway or a post office, but it's still a major project that if you can't get the whole path, doesn't happen.
Correct. And why violate people's property rights in the process of building this infrastructure? It seems to me that, we've got one coming in, a gas pipeline, and, of course, the Northern Pass.
Yeah.
Both.
Because they could put it alongside a road.
Thank you. Right.
Or an old railroad, in which case, or alongside a power line.
Or what's wrong with Route 3?
Nothing.
Since their pipeline across northern Massachusetts goes very close to Route 3 or crosses it, that's actually a pretty good idea because that's got a decent median too.
And just cut right across. It just seems to me that you can the businesses, I understand, they want to help with the infrastructure in New Hampshire. That's wonderful. The same way with the Northern Pass. But we've got a beautiful highway system that we got to come up with some kind of compromise where you can just probably either put it underground or build an infrastructure where everybody can tap into it at some point instead of violating property rights. Property rights are constantly under attack in New Hampshire and across the country.
You're absolutely right, and it's getting to be more and more because you're seeing that the progressives wish to collectivize everything. It all belongs to us, globally and collectively. And the thing that built this country is capitalism, and the idea that the rule of private property was uppermost when this country was founded. Mm-hmm. And you see over and over again that any way that they can, they're going to try to interconnect things to say, well, look, this water here belongs to us here because it's navigable water. Well, that's fed by these smaller streams and these ditches and this little bit of wetland. So the government must take it all over to protect it for all of us. And we're seeing that here in New Hampshire with the Sustainable Communities Initiative and the Water Commission trying to say, you don't own your private well. Everything that you look at, Kevin, and you bring, I mean, this is a great thing, that if it's not for all of us, you shouldn't have it at all.
Right. It's for the collective or the common good, and that's where
it never ends is the problem.
Well, the Constitution. I mean, you got to regularly read the Constitution and decipher what the folks meant when they say things in as far as your property. There has to be just compensation, obviously, if they're going to take it. But the point is that the federal government has no business in the states, as they've usurped the authority of the states. And of course, the states have actually said, please usurp us.
As long as you give us the money to do it with.
Right. And basically what they're doing is they're selling themselves into slavery to the federal government. And in the end, basically. And what we have to do is stop doing that. Every time the feds give you money, there's strings attached. I interviewed John Burt recently. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, yes. Yep. We've had him on the show.
Yeah. You think of John Burt, you think of the hot dog stands, right?
Yes.
Or J.P. Marzullo, by the way.
Yep.
Anyway, we were talking about the land grabs from HUD. If they come into these little towns, and of course they offer a little bit of money, but they don't realize that they're surrendering their property rights, and then try to get them back. It's an issue. People have got to read the fine print. When you're taking money from the feds.
Yeah, I mean the classic case is Westchester in New York. Right. Where lots of money was given for low-income housing, and then as soon as the paperwork was signed, they decided, a la President Obama, just to arbitrarily change all of the rules and demand much more without any more money. I mean, we see that here. Just the classic case here in New Hampshire is the amount of money that was promised for special education, and that never came across. We're going to see that again with the Medicaid expansion, where it's doubtful that the 100% will ever be paid for just even the first 3 years. And we see these zoning laws coming through the RPCs, the regional planning commissions, to federalize the local zoning laws. And you're right, it's 13 pieces of silver for freedom. And I'm glad to see that one of your platforms is the protection and the strengthening of that private property.
It's on my palm card, by the way. I'll be passing them out.
Well, you need to get us. You need to send us the JPEG so we can put it up on Granite Rock.
We'll put
so you brought up the gas pipeline. What are some of the other things that you see that are under attack, either by the Fed or even the state or even more local governments?
Oh my gosh, where do I begin? Well, I'm a former state representative. I served on the Redress of Grievance Committee. It was a new committee that Speaker O'Brien had committed to he brought to life. It's something that was dormant for about 100 years. We saw all kinds of issues, and everything from the family courts to 9 years of the town of Rochester having secret minutes. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
No, I don't think I heard
Oh,
that.
You'll love that one. And, of course, Jeff Frost being attacked by the Attorney General's, the banking office with the stormtrooper.
We had him on.
Well, I sat on that committee that had to look at all this information, and on every level, citizens are being attacked. And as soon as they exercise their First Amendment right, do you know what that right is by any chance? Just
it gets slammed by the government when you seek redress.
Right,
Thank
redress
you.
Of grievance.
But that's the point. It's in the First Amendment. People don't forget. They think the First Amendment is the freedom of the press. Wonderful. Good job. And freedom of religion. Oh, wonderful. And you will not be able to hinder somebody from practicing their faith. But also the right to redress of grievances.
Or to petition for them.
For petition.
And to speak out. And so many of the laws that they're crafting these days basically say, if we come for you, you don't have the right to tell anybody we came for you. the hell I'll sign that stuff.
Right. We just came out.
If I can't kill you coming through the door, I'm certainly going to tell everybody about you.
We just came out.
He's our militant guy.
I like you. So anyway, we just came out of a Revolutionary War, and what in the priorities are these amendments came down. You have a right to tell the king. You have a right to tell the powers that be the grievances that you have. One of the things that the committee allowed were people that were very wealthy or very poor to come to their committee and talk about their issues. We recently had one guy, well, not recently, I recently aired one interview with petitioner number 31, Wade Henry. Just a common guy, just a construction guy, got hurt on the job, feels like he got rooked by the workers' comp, and he might have a very good claim. As he filed the claim with the petition, I'm going to say his name, Representative Timothy Horrigan. Okay.
Oh, Timmy!
Timmy.
He's a frequent commenter on Granicart.
Anyway, Representative Timothy Horrigan actually, according to Wade, publicized all of Wade's medical records. Either it was all,
really,
or a portion of, but not necessarily limited to his claim. I'm just wondering why somebody hasn't picked up on this. His case wasn't unfounded, by the way.
We didn't know about that.
Well, let me just point that out. And, of course, it was on my show, Speak Up. I got a little TV show called Speak Up, which continues the spirit of the redress of grievance because the Democrats shut down that particular, what they called, kangaroo court. And I'm telling you right now, I swear, Obama, Shaheen, the feds, they all looked at the redress of grievance committee, and they worked a plan. What's that plan? Stall, delay. That's what they did against our committee. Whether we subpoenaed DCYF or had anybody come to our committee to be accountable. Well, you're in here for 2 years. We know that. We're just going to stall you.
That's the problem with some of this stuff, like with the right to know laws. When citizens want to know what their government is doing, you can say, put in an RTK request, but there's no teeth behind it. And it's sounding like this had the same thing. We always hear about qualified immunity or separation of powers. I get the separation of powers, but when you go and somebody has done absolutely wrong, I think the qualified immunity, which started a number of decades ago, has gone too far yet again. I don't know whether you watched the IRS hearings with Mr. Koskinen.
I saw that.
And I just put up a little video last night where he says there is no apology owed. And if you look at the smirk on his face, that is the face of our bureaucracy, whether
That's
it's federal or any other level.
Oh,
and that's
yes,
what
they
are turning into that. What's your solution for that?
A pillory, a public square, a cat o' nine tails, and a TV crew. And you keep at him until he apologizes to the American public.
Well, right now, I'll tell you right now, in New Hampshire, you got the G8. I'm calling them the G8, the Great 8. The people that are running for the Senate right now. You got George Lambert. You got Eileen Landis. You got Jane Cormier. You got J.P. Marzullo. You got Kathy Rago. You got myself. I'm missing Gary Daniels, and there's another one.
I don't know.
There are a few others.
We've had half those people on the show, I think.
Well, these people, George and I sat on the Redress of Grievance Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to talk about people that are fighting for liberty. You want to talk about people that are pushing for constitutional liberties. That's we've so walked away from that, and that's where you begin. People, please, if you're listening right now, support these people. Send $10, $5,000, get in on their campaign. Find 10 people to help each one of these candidates. 10 people that'll donate $10 or $5,000. Get on with this.
It is time to make fun of another rhino for 60 seconds, and we'll be right back.
He tried to make us believe he was a fiscal conservative, but State Senator Jeb Bradley has been deceiving New Hampshire taxpayers. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, he claimed to be one of us, pretending to blend in, but all along voting like a liberal Democrat. And oh, how he drooled at the opportunity to vote to expand Obamacare, which will result in higher taxes and longer wait times in the emergency room. And now, Senator Bradley is leading the charge to try and pass a Senate bill to prevent us from criticizing his vote. Call Senator Bradley at 603-569-4208 and tell him that we're on to his wolf in sheep's clothing routine. Tell him to stop pretending to be a fiscal conservative and start voting like one. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
All right, we're back.
Yeah,
Kevin.
And during segment 1, we mentioned that it is the job of the people to monitor the goings-on in their legislature against the Constitution. The legislators should obey the Constitution. It is their job. The people should enforce the Constitution. It's easy to read. And the judges are the last resort, not the only resort. Kevin.
Just to jump on that, it's actually your duty. I believe it's Article 10, or is it?
That's the right to revolution.
Right, but it's your duty if they're rogue. Hey, listen.
If government becomes destructive of these ends, it is our right. It is our duty to alter or abolish it. We got a lot of altering and abolishing to do.
So, getting back a little bit to the Redress Committee, we also had a couple of Democrats on there, Sandra Keynes, Timothy Horgan, obviously, and you just look at their voting record. Please go to 2010 through 12 to look at our findings. Sandra Keynes, I brought up that thing about Rochester, how that the town of Rochester, or the city of Rochester, had secret meetings. Mm-hmm. Well, yes, they did, and we actually documented it. Their attorney with the mayor came into our committee and said, well, we're not doing it anymore. Well, good for you. However, you have 9 years, and of course they were basically looking at private property, and they were going to change some of the status of the property so that it would be taxed differently, be used differently. Some associated it to be directly linked to the Agenda 21 thing, or that big conspiracy thing, whatever. However, Sandra Keynes was the city councilor that was part of this petition. Did you know that she didn't recuse herself from voting?
Why?
Thank you very much. Why? Why didn't she? Because, in my opinion, the Democrats don't seem to have a right picture of representation. They feel they're above the law, apparently, or above the people. They know better. There is no smidgen of corruption because, by definition, they are holier than us, and they cannot be corrupt. And that's why they never feel it's necessary for them to prove that they're not. And they basically act like Pharisees, and they can swallow a camel, but strain at a gnat.
Well, you're absolutely right, Kevin, because all of us here are constitutional folks. We go back to what the founders' philosophy was, and that's what we want to see. Democrats are mostly progressive at this point. There's no more blue dog Democrats anymore. And the progressives believe...
They put the blue dogs down.
That democracy is an impediment to progressing society forward. They'd rather see that administrative state unbowed and unfettered by democracy, that a bunch of technocrats would be able to efficiently run and have an ordered society without the input of those masses. The problem is they always say that these technocrats are supposed to be nonpartisan. Well, we look at the VA, we look at the IRS, we look at the EPA, and nonpartisan is a word that doesn't even appear in their dictionary, and it brings the whole thing down. We're seeing these problems over and over and over again. But you're right, they still believe that they are the new aristocracy, that they are the new anointed rulers versus governors, and that's a problem we're running into.
Hey, speaking of that,
and they don't seem to understand that it doesn't matter whether it's one person, 100 people, or 10,000 people. Ultimately, a blob at the center of the universe cannot know enough to govern it.
Right. I'm looking at our governance right now, and I'm just thinking, the president's a senator. Joe Biden, wasn't he a senator?
Yes.
Kerry, senator?
Yep.
Yes. Clinton?
Senator?
Yep.
Hagel?
Yep.
Senator?
Oh, well, private.
Oh.
And a senator.
The problem is you need some governors in there, You need people that know how to govern.
Somebody, and I don't know if it was Hansen or somebody else recently wrote a piece. No, Kevin Williamson, I think it was talking about the absence of governors, or specifically what senators do And especially if you're a minority party senator, all you do is make speeches. You make flowery speeches on the floor because you have no real power.
Right.
All you can do is make backroom deals and hope that you get some smidgen of whatever you think your agenda is attached to somebody else's bill. So they don't really govern anything. And it was the piece was about boring governors. Governors are boring because governors just actually have to do work. They have to sit down and make decisions. They have to, check little boxes and sign things and do stuff, while senators just make speeches. And you're absolutely right.
And that's why
governors.
That's why W and even Clinton was a better president than this guy, because at least he had some idea of what executive power meant.
Yeah, and there was accountability attached to it.
There's accountability.
Well, not only that, but you see in today's Obama administration, he's surrounded by academicians who haven't even run a lemonade stand in a lot of cases.
Right.
And I think that the 2.9% deduction in our last quarter's GDP is very much a result of that, because these people don't know what it's like to not just sign the back of a paycheck, but to sign the front of the paycheck.
We got about 5 or 6 minutes, so let's get to a few more issues that you want to cover.
I'm going to be primaried, obviously, by Michael McCarthy here in the Nashville area, and
the establishment candidate.
So who filed first?
I did.
You filed a long time. You've been talking about running for months and months and months. So.
And so the establishment couldn't possibly bear for you to stand unchallenged.
I'm going to, listen, I'm not going to be a lobbyist friend. I've sat on the redress committee. I've watched how people are being hurt, and I want to bring accountability. But I need to bring this up, and it's important because I know that the people that are supporting Michael. You need to listen, please. Whether you're a firefighter or a police officer, I'm telling you right now, I stood in the Capitol while I was getting the finger and while I was getting my tire slashed. I walked through the gauntlets. I saw the blowhorns. I got the arms. I remember those days, okay? We're going to be on different sides on right to work because I'm for right to work. But, and listen hard, I know that the divorce rate amongst firefighters and amongst police officers are high. And I guarantee you that I know what kind of struggles you're going through. And as a senator, I will fight for you, and I will withstand the pressure, because what you're going through right now is our court system. And let me tell you, when you have to pay $40,000 for a guardian ad litem, or $14,000, when your pension is robbed at 60%, when you've committed no crime, and find yourself not seeing your children or seeing them on a partial basis, I'm going to tell you what, you're going to want somebody who understands the issues that need to be addressed, and that is parental rights. You need to know that somebody's going to be fighting for you to have equal parenting. Did you know it's your constitutional right? It's the children's constitutional rights to have equal parenting. It's important for their growth, their happiness in life, to have both parents. You should not be treated as a criminal because you want to see your daughter or your son and play with them on a regular basis. Go ahead. Attack me on this. Let's go. I'll be fighting for you on this particular issue more than anybody. More than anybody in the Senate. I will. Because I know the struggles you're going through. I heard hundreds of them. Go to Speak Up TV and look at it. Check it out. Whether you're rich or you're poor, whether you're Mike Gill, who's struggling with the courts, who actually was given a document, sign this or you will not see your children. Guess what? I watched his hearing where he actually said to the previous bar president, did you know my wife's attorney? Oh, yeah, he said. Weren't you good friends? Yes. They went on vacations together. $4 million later, he found out. Well, wait a minute. Shouldn't you have told me that you were best friends with my attorney's wife? Well, I didn't feel you needed to know. Guess who was representing the New England Bar Association attorney on that stand? The present New England Bar attorney. And guess who didn't have a lawyer because nobody would take up his case?
Wow.
A man who had $100 million and yet nobody would come and defend him. I'm telling you what, it's a fixed game. And you need to fix our justice system to make it equal for all citizens. It's called the 14th Amendment. Equal protection under the law. Whether you're Wade Henry, Jeff Frost, Dorothy Knightley, or Mike Gill. You need somebody who's going to be fighting for you. And I'm telling you what, I'm that guy.
You know, that was written to prevent the Jim Crow actions in the South from disenfranchising and disadvantaging black freedmen. Now, it's basically it's needed to protect the average citizen from the corrupt insiders.
And that's what's happening. What we have in New Hampshire is, we have a closed bar, so you can't practice law unless you're a member of the Bar Association, unless you go pro se.
Which they don't like.
Which, it seems as though it's a fixed game, because you can go to the JCC and file your complaint, but you're going to just spend yourself out into oblivion. They can water you down. Read the preamble to the Constitution. My God, you just look at it and you read it and you think, this is happening today, whether it's in our courts, whether it's in our government. Every time we complain to the king, guess what the king did? He made it harder. More clay, more mortar. All right, now you're going to take away the straw. You're going to complain, we're going to fix you.
And this is the problem that we've been railing against for years now, where we are called extremists, extreme right wing. We are called all kinds of names in all kinds of areas for one thing. We simply want to go back to what the plain Constitution says. We can go back to a simpler time if people would want to. But the problem is the people in power understand and know that their power would be lessened if we did so. So these problems that you just talked about, it would be easier to solve, but nobody's making any money off of it. We have not only just the crony capitalism of big business and the political insiders, but we also have crony capitalism within the system itself. And we see that at the macro level with the IRS scandal right now, where we have this rogue agency that everybody's scared of in the first place because of what it can do to you.
Right.
And now we've got the head of the of that agency, as I said before, smirking at Congress, almost saying, I dare you to do something, because our elected officials won't do or exercise the one power that they have, which is, fine, we will take your money away. All
right, we got to go. Kevin, contact information, website, email.
All right, Kevin Avard for Senate, my Facebook, Avard for New Hampshire is my website. That's the number 4, and 521-7657 603. What else do you need to know?
And you'll come back.
I will promise to come back.
All right, feel free to send us this stuff so that we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much for being on the program. I'm here with Mike Rogers, Skip Murphy. My name's Steve McDonald. This is GrokTALK. Kevin, thank you so much for coming down and spending some time with us. Coming up next is Mark Chenoweth, and we're going to talk about the 4 letters I screwed up before, the gas additive lawsuit, and that's another one, and that's a good segue. We'll be right back.
MTBE.
MTBE, thank you. We're going to talk about that. We'll be back in a bit.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by SaberPac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
He tried to make us believe he was a fiscal conservative, but State Senator Dave Booten has been deceiving New Hampshire taxpayers. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, he claimed to be one of us, pretending to blend in, but all along, voting like a liberal Democrat. He voted to raise your gas tax by another 23%, taking a bigger bite out of our wallets every time we're at the pump. And oh, how he drooled at the opportunity to vote to expand Obamacare, which will result in higher taxes and longer wait times in the emergency room. And now the Senate wants to pass a bill to prevent us from criticizing Senator Booten's vote? Call Senator Booten at 603-203-5391 and tell him that we're on to his wolf in sheep's clothing routine. Tell him to stop pretending to be a fiscal conservative and start voting like one. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Are you from New Hampshire? Have you ever been to New Hampshire? Has anyone you've known ever sent you a postcard from New Hampshire? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you too can become one of New Hampshire's very own Little Wandering Voters, thanks to the Senator Martha Fuller Clark's Home for the Little Wandering Voters Foundation. With your out-of-state voter participation and your liberal contribution, we can help Senator Martha and all her liberal pals stay in office.
GrokTALK.